Welcome back to the channel. Today, I'm going to fire up the 62 Ford with the 445 stroker FE engine in it. It's been a long time coming, but it's going to happen today. The key to an easy engine startup without problems starts when you put the engine together. We all know about the biggest problem that we have with new engine fire-ups, and that's cam break-in. The biggest thing I've found, no matter what the cam is, hydraulic, flat tap it, solid flat tap it, I found that you got to make sure the lifters spin in the bore. You can help ensure that by when you first assemble the engine, use plenty of oil around the lifters, coat the bore, and then slide the lifters in and out and spin them as you're sliding them in and out to make sure you have a good fit and they slide nice and freely back and forth. Second thing, oil. I've moved to an oil made by AMSOIL. They have a specific break-in oil. It's a 30 weight break-in oil. It has everything you need in it for a flat tappet camshaft and also to help seat the rings. So I use it for flat tappet or a hydraulic or solid roller camshaft as well. It's a great insurance. You don't need to put additives in it. It's straight up out of the bottle and it's synthetic, which is even better. What I always try to do is make sure the engine's properly prepared before I even drop it in the car. I'll assemble the engine as completely as I can on the engine stand. I'll always have the valves adjusted, valve covers on, pretty much ready to go after I drop it in to fire it up. I'll prime it on the engine stand, use a gauge, make sure I got excellent oil pressure, make sure oil gets everywhere it needs to go. Backing up, when I adjust the valves, I have a chart, which I'll put up right now, that gives the firing order and the lifter adjustment procedure for a Ford V8 engine. I'll start at number 1, rotate the engine as this chart shows you, and adjust each valve according to the procedure on that chart. I'll do the same procedure that I just went through with that chart while adjusting the valves to prime the engine. Start at cylinder number 1. I'll have my drill in, I'll spin it, prime the engine, flood those lifters that are not under pressure with oil. I'll do that for maybe 10-15 seconds and stop. Quarter turn, do the same thing. And continue to do that same thing, taking a quarter turn each time, priming for about 10 to 15 seconds to ensure I have oil in all the lifters. Again, this is just for a hydraulic lifter engine. Solid lifter, obviously it doesn't matter, there's no oil getting to the lifters. Just do a standard priming procedure is all you need. Once I'm finished the lifter adjustments, I will set the engine back on top dead center number 1, ready to fire, install my distributor on number 1 so it's ready to fire, so I'm not guessing once it's in the car. I don't want to have to be stabbing the distributor in and out trying to figure out am I 180 off, am I 60 degrees, 90 degrees off. I don't want any of that. That's not good when you're trying to fire up a brand new engine, especially with a flat tappet. You're spinning the engine over, wiping all the oil and pre-lube off the camshaft, real bad scene. With a flat tappet, I will use a good 3% moly lube, or if your cam manufacturer who you got the cam from supplied a lube with it, I will use that. Moly on the lobes, the high pressure white lithium on the bearing surfaces of that camshaft. I'll use that white high pressure lithium grease on all the main and rod bearings. It works really well. And then obviously priming the engine gets the fresh engine oil in there also. After we drop the engine in, just going through everything, make sure everything is good. Plugs in, then I'll fill up the water. Letting it sit for a day or two tends to help the water percolate out any air that is trapped in the block. I also use a funnel, which you probably have seen in the video, that's attached to the radiator fill cap. And that helps me fill and burp any air that's trapped inside the engine. I'm very slow and deliberate on an engine fire up, just because it is sometimes a kind of nerve-wracking deal. I'll take my time, Make sure everything is right as it possibly can be, so I don't have any problems. And that's the best thing I can suggest to anybody. Take your time. No need to rush through an engine startup. This isn't any TV show where you're going to lose the shop. No rush. Make sure it's good. Don't have any problems with it. Try to eliminate as many problems with the startup the best that you can. And then when it comes time to fire it up, as I explained, make sure you have fuel where it needs to be. Prime the engine, get it going, and then there's that moment where you just got to turn the key and let it fly and see how it happens. If you have a flat tappet, most of you guys know, get it up to RPM as quick as you can. 2,000 RPM is probably adequate enough to keep oil moving through the engine. With any flat tappet, camshaft is critical. Once that engine fires up, to get that engine up to RPM and allow that camshaft to break in for 10 to 15 minutes minimum. If the engine's happy and you want to keep running it and breaking it in, if it's not overheating, oil pressure looks good, you're like 2,000 RPM at about that 10-15 minute mark, drop it back to 1,500 RPM. Just gotta let it keep running. If it seems happy, just let it go. If you let it go for 20 minutes, 25, that's fine. Obviously needs some timing adjustment, but all in all, runs pretty good. I can hear a lifter or two clattering. They'll need to be adjusted, but she runs pretty good. Good oil pressure, good water temperature. Everything else I can sort out. After you've done that, shut the engine off, let everything cool, walk away from it. Come back in a couple days, or the next day, whatever you want to do, pull the oil filter, cut it open, see what you have inside. If you see metal pieces in your oil filter, at that point, it's time to drop the oil. And metal pieces in the oil don't necessarily mean your engine's going bad. A lot of metal in the oil means the engine's going bad. After cutting open that oil filter, I'm very happy with what I see. A couple little pieces of, looks like possibly silicone from the sealant caught and trapped in the filter, which is exactly what you want it to do. No metal, nothing ugly come pouring out of that canister after I open it up. Very happy with it. I think we have a good one here. Pretty successful break-in.